And at 5:55 a.m., it was a wrap. And I was like, I've never felt more certain about something in my life. And I thought, oh my God, I almost missed this. I almost didn't show up for this. And that's when I knew sometimes you just have to fucking go for it. Just fucking go for it. Stop waiting for logic. Stop waiting for it to make sense. The worst thing you could do is not procrastinate. It's actually to not pay attention. Welcome to I Am Divine AF. This is not just a podcast, it's an anthem for the souls ready to reclaim their divinity and break free into their highest destiny. My mission is to help you answer the casual "how are you" with "I've never been fucking happier." So buckle up as we go on a journey to debunk divinity and liberate the only thing that creates your reality, your consciousness. Episodes will be engineered with spiritual empowerment that awaken your superconscious, activate your divine gifts, and help you live the legacy you always dreamed of. One divine aligned step at a time. Let's make magic, people, and have the time of our lives while doing it. All right. I got to give some back context to this entire episode because, I am my ideal target listener when it comes to sitting in the divine power of knowing what you're capable of doing, yet not getting shit done. And I'm not getting shit done because I'm doing some of the most important work that I've ever done in my life. But hand on heart, let me tell you, there is nothing like faithful action in momentum because sometimes you just never know what is going to strike and move through you in the most profoundly noticeable moments of expressing your truth, your power, your divine gifts. But you only know their feeling, you only get to meet their acquaintance in the majestic serenading of your soul when you're actually fucking using them. It's so funny what little things can do. I literally just keep these spiral notebooks with blank pages in it because I like to put pen to paper. They're my little mind map books and journals and whatever. And I just ripped a page out of this thing and wrote this empowerment on it, scotch taped it to the glass panel of my bedroom door so that as soon as I wake up in the morning and pull the blinds, I see this message. And it's like dead on in front of my bed as well. You have the talent, motherfucking use it. And you really can't script this shit. And, this is off the cuff, but that's what's up. It's like when you feel the calling, answer it. Like you're being called for a reason. People don't call to sit on the phone in silence. They have something to say. Your soul tribe has the most amazing things to co-create with you. You have to make yourself available for that co-creation. You have the talent, motherfucking use it. Now I'm being pulled. This is the most intuitive podcast episode. I mean, I tried to give you guys some structure, but buckle in. Here's the ride of uncertainty. I have no idea where this is going to go. I tried to use Chat GPT to outline this episode and was like, nah, just not going generic with this, going fully intuitive. And I'm being pulled to the other thing that I taped on the bottom of my TV. So if I'm watching TV, which I use this TV for so much research on YouTube and things like that. But, it's got Netflix and stuff, and I'm just deep in Sex in the City and loving it because you got to switch the brain off sometimes. But shout out to everyone who's in the film industry. I get so inspired by the way you guys script shit, especially stuff that's so translatable to life. But I've ripped another page out of the book, another note to self, if you want to call it, another empowerment. And I stuck it onto the TV. So when I'm looking at the TV, I see this note as well. And it's like about an A3 size paper. It's not like a little sticky post-it note. It's big. Black permanent marker. Be non-negotiable. Move and miracles will follow. And there's just something so beautiful about being surprised by yourself. And I don't mean by yourself. Actually, that's a double meaning. By yourself, because you're alone in the journey and the expression of your truth, and you only can discover yourself on your own. So it can be a lonely place to be, which is why people avoid it. But you're surprised by yourself, the self, the identity of who you are in this human experience with these energetic gifts and signatures of genius that have been embedded and encoded into you. And your soul codes, there's nothing like being in the attunement of your soul codes. And what I mean by that is that you have these passions, you have these desires, you have these looping, recurring desires. You've probably heard me talk about this before. You know, the looping lessons and the recurring desires, I touched on that in the last episode. They come back for a reason. And I clean slated my life in October last year, October 2024. Basically was like, I'm just going to wake up, and every single moment of that day, I'm just going to listen to my thoughts and start to understand what serves me and what ignites that fire in my soul, what feels like it's like ooh, that's, you know, when you have those little machines, the metal detectors, and you can't see anything, but they beep and they go off because they know there's something under the surface. That's kind of how you feel when you're in your intuition. And I made a choice to, minute by minute, hour by hour, very exhausting. Who has that kind of time, right? But I actually did. Clean slated my life and just started listening to my thoughts. And not listening, I started to soul detect where those codes and divine gifts were. And I started to wait for that beeping activation to be like, oof, 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 there, pay attention, pay attention. And come the end of the year, I had decided that for 2025, I would only focus on three things. One thing would be giving back. It'd be more in the philanthropic space. One thing would be a prosperity pathway, revenue generator. And the third thing was going to be using my divine gifts consistently. Now, if you don't know what your divine gifts are, this is what we go through in Eden, because this is the whole process. It's like a lot of unbecoming and so much intuitive and emotional intelligence. Your intelligence is your compass, it's your GPS, it's everything. Your intuition is a form of your intelligence. It sits in the super consciousness. Your emotions then sit in your conscious, and they're the sort of borderline checkpoint between your subconscious and your conscious mind. And your emotions, emotion, energy, emotion are what sets your frequency. That frequency sets the law of attraction. I always say emotions establish the frequency. You apply thoughts to them, it stabilizes the frequency. Then you apply your subconscious beliefs, it amplifies the frequency, and you take behaviors in alignment with that emotion, thought, and belief, and you magnetize. You become magnetic to pull experiences that match that aligned frequency. This is my theory of alignment. It's based on the self-alignment framework that's in my book, The Intelligence of Happiness. It's just the way that I broke it down. You know, when you hit the corners of your MacBook and you can see all the windows that are open and they pop up in like compartmentalized spaces, and you're like, okay, I can have a nice overview of the multiple things that are happening on my desktop. That's how I feel about understanding my internal operating system. So it's like, okay, what's happening with my affective emotional self? Okay, what's happening with my cognitive self, my thoughts and beliefs, my mindset? Okay, what's happening with my executive self, my doing self, my behavioral self, my active self? And when I can compartmentalize it like that, I can easily frequency tune. And what's happening is when you're listening to yourself and your soul and you're using your frequency detector or your soul detector, like your metal detector, your frequency starts to give alarm bells in the form of your emotions, in the form of your thought vibrations, but the feeling as you sit with those thoughts, the feeling of where you are when taking an action. And this is the importance of having a fuck around and find out era. I talk about this in Expansion. The time of perfectionism is done, because I've learned more in the last 5 months than I have in the last 5 years in terms of discovering my purpose and my truth by simply allowing myself to fuck around. So sometimes you just have to fucking do it. Show up, start with zero expectation because something gave you that beep, beep, beep. Pay attention, noise. Get out there, get started, go for it. You have absolutely everything in the world to gain, especially in the knowing of what doesn't deserve your energy. Your return on investing your energy is the game that we're playing. We're playing an energetic balance sheet game, right? We're exposed to so much liabilities. We overestimate our equity, our energetic equity. and we don't really focus on where our assets are, our divine gifts, right? The accumulation of our assets and the utility of those assets, how we leverage them is what's important. Yet it baffles me that we go into these existential tipping points. When I clean slated my life a year out of my existential inquisition, which started on the 4th of November 2023, 1 year just asking about the meaning of life, having conversations with God, in dialogue with the creator on a daily, and I mean multiple times, deep in prayer. Like, what the fuck is prayer even? Like, and I'm not talking religion, I'm talking the conquest of understanding the origin of our energetic existence and the creation of the being and all the faculties that that includes that we're navigating, not just our operating system in terms of our nervous system, our endocrine system, our metabolism. Like, we don't even know how to master those completely sometimes. But that's not just biological, psychological, or neurological. I'm talking about our spiritual systems, the seat of the soul inside the body, or not limited to the body, but navigating and pulsating through us when we connect with it in deep conviction to guide us towards ourselves and our destined path. And it's just been such a beautiful journey, guys. I can't recommend it highly enough. And I know that I'm going to have more to say about this. But for now, all I'm going to say is just get fucking started. Because you know by the doing of it. So just go for it. Stay tuned. I think I'm going to do a bit more of these off the cuff things because I'm not here to spend hours in editing, polishing, and perfecting. I'm under the divine guidance of the creator. And this is what I was going to say. I started dialoguing with the creator every day. And I went through this year of existential inquisition. But last year, when I clean slated my life, what I realized is like, we're not really taught to identify our divine gifts. And as long as we're out of alignment with them, we keep looping back to this question like, what's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? And when we're not in alignment with it because we haven't discovered the truth of it for our unique soul codes and our unique architecture, what happens is we live out these timelines that if they're not serving our higher self, what we came here to do and actualize into, we start to hit these existential tipping points, shit hit the fan moments, wake up calls, whether it be through grief and loss. And I'm not just talking loss of life. It can be loss of health, loss of a relationship, whether that's a breakdown of marriage, a breakup, or whatever, loss of financial security. You lose a deal, you go bankrupt, the business goes under, you take a hit, whatever, someone steals from you, loss of identity. God, hello to the warriors who have gone through the dark night of the soul. You know, we experience these existential tipping points that come in the form of not just grief, but they come in the form of misaligned opportunities just to teach us a lesson that just because we can doesn't mean we should. Only to end up going a year, 2, 3, 5 later, oof, I'm not truly happy. In my soul, I'm not beeping. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not going, oof, 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 oof. If you're not screaming to the sky at least once a month, I'm so happy. I love my life. You know, I'm doing that every couple of days. I'll be honest. I've just come out of a vacation from hell. We don't do any screaming to the sky down there. We do more like tears of lava and fire as we burn in the phoenix of our old identities, shadows, and addictions to sit with ourselves and be reborn into the accountability and readiness to step forward into our truth and our talents. And this is what I mean. The existential tipping points will come. The shadow will start to be on steroids. Things that you struggled with will not just be a struggle, there will be a suffering, right? Things that you're like, oh, I put up with this for so long. I no longer, it's insufferable for me. It becomes intolerable because your soul is yearning. Your soul already is beyond where you currently allow yourself to be as a human, settling for the limitations that you call your life, hidden in the microscopic essence of your daily choices. If you're listening to yourself, you're hearing the direction of where you're being guided. You can hear actually, but are you listening to it? You're listening, you understand it. Are you acting on it? Again, you have this feeling. This feeling gives me shame. This feeling gives me guilt. This feeling gives me regret. You know, I procrastinated. I went for it. I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do. I keep allowing this. I'm growing resentful. I have regret that I didn't do more. I didn't start sooner, or I didn't try harder, or I did everything I could and I still didn't get the result I wanted. But who you're being while you're doing what you're doing is so much more important. What was your mind like? What was your thought like? You executed? Were you anchored in love? Were you anchored in your divinity? Were you anchored in your limitlessness? Were you anchored in the impact that that action was going to have on the hearts and souls of the people that it was going to touch? Did you create a circuitry of communion and synergy to be greater in the whole than you were in the isolated, egotistical intention of self-service? These are the questions that I was asking myself. Where am I really just doing this for me? Where am I doing this for the greatness of humanity? Where am I doing this because I'm being called to and I'm not questioning the calling any longer? Because guess what? Ignoring the fucking call turned into sleeping with sirens. The little alarm beeps until the sirens fucking belt noises into your ears and blast you into discomfort. They don't get any more quiet. Your destiny doesn't stop calling. You just reach an existential tipping point where either your health, your reality, your current circumstances create some type of scenario that you're willing to prioritize the discomfort and lack of fulfillment because you no longer can live in the illusion that you are okay. And I'm here for it because I've done it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm listening now because as much as my angels guide me, my demons school the fuck out of me. And it's not like fifth grade, like give the apple to the teacher in a cute little class. Pay attention. It's more like fucking Navy SEALs boot camp shit. When you go to hell, you get schooled, you get trained, you get broken so that you get built, right? Whether you want it to happen or not. Here's the thing. If you're perfectly comfortable and content with the life you have, some of this shit won't happen. This is for the spiritually anchored people who allow their desires to be felt in their heart. And while they're not taking action on those desires, they are aware that there is more. And the desire alone in the heart frequency creates a magnetic field that's trying to sync up with every other part of your being. So essentially, you're in vibrational whiplash between what you desire and what you're actually living, the desire versus the actuality. And I talk about this in the book as well. The authenticity gap of happiness is the gap between our expectations and our experiences. And it's the constant matching of those. That's what alignment is. That's what magnetic law of attraction and instant manifestation is. But to get there, we downplay all of the places where those two things don't match up. And so we have to start looking at, where am I not being that version of myself and why? And this is a whole journey. And these are the questions. And this is what hell will teach you. Hell doesn't allow you to look away from yourself, right? You're literally just finding the places to recalibrate into your power, into your destiny, into your purpose, into your highest fulfillment and prosperity. And so it's not that it's a bad place. It's just not the most gentle place. And if you can take the initiative and be proactive to seek out this journey, if that desire is flickering in your heart and you feel it, don't wait for hell to summon you. Take a seat at the table and do the work, because it's going to be a lot more pleasant when you just fucking show up and do it. Do the work sometimes means take the chance, take the leap of faith. Do the work means look in the mirror and tell the truth. Do the work means pay attention to the microscopic choices that compound into the limitations of your life. The thing is that we allow so many tiny things to happen consistently. And then when we look at the compounding impact of those tiny little microscopic things, they add up to pretty big limitations on who we can be. Not who we can be, but who we're being, because we are divine. We are the divine embodied. Who we're choosing to be in the human experience of limitation is up to us. But when you strip all that away, we are only left with our genius, greatness, and God consciousness. We are divine by design. but we are allowed to use the mind to construct reality and experiences of our creation. So if in our mind and our choices and our behaviors, if in our emotions, we are experiencing a life that we don't desire, and our heart is telling us there's a higher calling, there's a higher desire, that thing's not going to go away. I think we owe it to God. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to humanity. And we owe it to our hearts to maybe answer the call, Like you never know what you're gonna get unless you go and get it. All right, guys. Love, light, stay divine. This rampage of intuitive expression off the cuff, and that's what's up. It might be a whole segment. Who knows? I'm just gonna listen to the next nudge. And until then, I hope you have the most divine and magical time of your life becoming exactly who you are destined to be. Thanks so much. See you next time.